Hi, my name is Jon Wargo. I'm a University Enrichment Fellow here at Michigan State University. My undergrad career looked predominantly at English language literature and gender and sexuality studies. And so those frameworks for me were really sort of at the crutch of the humanities-oriented work I wanted to do at IU. And so I looked predominantly at medieval language and literature and sort of understanding how notions of gender and sexuality could perhaps be generative in the sense of opening up a new framework for how readership, how history sort of looked at medieval literature and the Middle Ages. After that, and sort of, happenstance, I guess, I pursued a teaching position with the Colorado Teach for America Teaching Corps. So being a Corps member sort of opened up my eyes to the sense of this landscape of education that I never thought of pursuing before. I taught kindergarten in Denver, Colorado for 2 years, and after that joined full-time staff for Teach for America, where I worked as a program director for the Colorado regional team and helping pre-service teachers with the sort of induction process of being a new pre-service teacher, of being a beginning in-service teacher, as well as working with the teacher preparation team in designing some of the curriculum for their pre-service educators. That sort of experience has really opened up my eyes in terms of understanding how education and the greater institution of schooling really does play a critical role in shaping student identity and teacher identity as well. And I think, living in a time of contemporary reform where education becomes a really sort of strong focus for all of history's greater problems and inequities, I decided to pursue a graduate career at Michigan State because of its its ranking, obviously, in within the College of Education, but also just because of the faculty that I met here. They seemed very, very indebted to the work I wanted to do. They weren't pushy about producing mini-me's in any way. They were very open to sort of hearing my response and my perspective and making sure that the work I wanted to do, that I brought with me, and that had crystallized through the previous experiences of education and working in a school, would be brought to fruition through the graduate program. I think this first year, being an Enrichment Fellow has just it's impacted my work in a lot of large ways. So not having to teach this year has really opened up the opportunity for me to just knock on doors and really start to talk to people across the university. So I took courses in anthropology, I took courses, working with some of the faculty in RAC, the Writing and Rhetoric program, and just sort of opening myself up and having that space and that freedom and the time to really say, right now, here are my research interests, and how can you help guide, shape, and inform what I want to do ongoing. Additionally, I've just been able to really focus on my work, and I think that's really important, is that you come in here with a lot of great ideas, and I think that the fellowship has really offered a space for me to sit down and really just sort of begin to think about the identity that I want as a scholar, but more so the identity that I want as perhaps a scholar activist, or someone who's really encouraged by civic engagement, community outreach, and working in that realm of education as well. It's the opportunities have been afforded me through conference travel, so I presented at the Children's Lit Symposium in Sarasota, Florida. I'm going to another conference on the Children's Literature Association in Boston this June to present. And so it's just offered me a time to really focus in on what I want to do, but more so just the freedom to write and sort of the freedom and the space to pursue what we come here to do, right? And that's really sort of the work and the scholarship we hope to produce and create. So my advisor is Dr. Django Paris, who is a recent hire actually to Michigan State University. He came from Arizona State after graduating with his PhD from Stanford. So my research looks predominantly at language and literacy as a mode and object of student identity performance. So that's a very broad category, right? And what do I mean by that? So specifically, I'm interested in sort of an interdisciplinary approach to understanding identity and how the curriculum, the English language arts classroom, and the larger space of school help shape and contribute to understandings of self. My hope is that I work with LGBT youth of color. So in my time here so far, I've really sort of began to outreach to centers such as the Ruth Ellis Center in Detroit, Neutral Zone in Ann Arbor, and the greater sort of LGBT community in Michigan, to sort of begin to understand the landscape and some of the battles that they sort of perceive in public education, but more so how my work can help inform or increase visibility to a population that I don't think necessarily gets as great visibility as it should. That work isn't really directly related to Dr. Paris. His work is very focused on language literacy, sociolinguistics of youth of color, and the greater sort of term youth culture, whatever that means. But he has just been really, really great in terms of allowing me to have a space that says, you know, your work is your work, and the relationship between advisor and student is very reciprocal, so that I hope that I learn just as much from you and your work as you learn from me and the work that we do in coursework, in independent study, in advisor conversations, and in chats over coffee, you know, at Sparties. After MSU, that's a really good question after the first year. But I do hope that I am able to pursue a Research 1 position at a university such as Michigan State. I think that the great thing about Michigan State is that there are so many focal points for the university in terms of outreach, civic engagement, and the scholarship that the researchers here pursue, both faculty and graduate students alike, is really centered on that question of, so what, right? And so after, you know, doing all this research, whether in a lab, in a classroom, or in a school space, what does it necessarily mean to the greater public in the institution? And so I think that the relationship that MSU has with research, and that the relationship I'm sort of just beginning to form with MSU, has really guided me to seek out a position that would encourage and sustain the work that I do here.